So, why the hell so many cats? Hi, this is Misha, and as I promised when we put up the launch video on the main channel Mishaco, this is going to be a channel about cats and chicken and the biscuit. Okay, that's a joke, but I figured, well, you know, I don't want to lie to you folks, so cat videos, gotta have some of those, right? This is YouTube, and I'm old and I'm pretty much stuck in like 2005. So there we go. So why do I have so many cats? Or why does my wife and I, why do we have so many cats? Well, a few things. Going back to childhood, we always had dogs, and my mother mostly had poodles. So you can understand why small dogs are not my thing. Now, growing up, I was told that my father did not like cats, so that's why we couldn't have them. But all my friends, my cousins, pretty much everyone had a cat or two around, and I always liked them. I mean, they were better than those poodles, right? So, after bugging them for years and years, I mean literally years, and my parents were, in some ways they were very strict, in some ways they did indulge me, I can't say otherwise. You know, Christmases were good, the great parents, frankly, but they were also very strict in some ways, and the cats were one of those things they didn't yield on until I was probably 12 or 13, and finally I got a cat. Now, they let me, my family owned a newspaper. A person put an ad in the paper for kittens. They were tiny little kittens. Went and picked one out. Was very happy. Little black and white kitty. And named it Spot because I was a Star Trek fan. I am a Star Trek fan. Some of you will get that. It was very young. I mean, it was weaned, but it was probably 5 weeks old. It was the tiniest little thing. It was just too young to do much, but basically curl up in your lap and purr. And I watched that thing like a hawk. I took a big, like, refrigerator box, cut open the top, made it a little thing inside, you know, hung a ball of yarn for it. I mean, this is my first cat, so I was pretty much indulging. You know, that's when I couldn't hold it. I'd put it in that refrigerator box to keep it away and keep it from wandering off. And it was okay for a few days. But one time I was sitting in the living room, and it was in its box, and I went down the hallway to use the restroom. Wasn't gone 5 minutes, came back, and the box was turned over. My mother's poodle, it was a teacup, by the way, a little 5-pound dog turned over a refrigerator box to get a kitten and killed it. The simple fact that I did not kill that dog that day shows you how non-aggressive I am towards animals, because I've never come as close in my life. That was something else. And honestly, for a while, they weren't even going to let me have another cat. They was like, well, you had one, there it is. And I'm like, no, it's dead, and your dog killed it. So I ended up getting another cat. It was a great cat. When we first got it, it was a little older, about 8 or 9 weeks, and it was outside. It was a kitten, obviously, but it was like outside in like a cage, like a large cage, like a rabbit cage. And it did a little hissing and stuff. It was a little bit wild, but it calmed down very quickly and became a great cat. It was a striped cat. It would go in and out. It was an indoor-outdoor cat. It would come in and rest, and it was a great kitty. Well, I had it a couple of years, and then my mother ran it over with a car. And she was devastated. I was actually at a family member's house, and she called. This would have been during the days of landlines. And my family member I was at could barely make out what she was saying, and all she could make out was my mother saying, I ran her over, he's never going to forgive me, he's never going to forgive me. And they thought that maybe one of my nieces had been run over or something, and she was talking about my brother. Turns out it was the cat, and of course I wasn't. I mean, I was sad, but I wasn't mad. I mean, things happen. Outdoor cats do get run over. That's just one of those facts of life. Well, that family member had a daughter whose cat had just recently had kittens, and I picked one of those out after a few weeks, because literally the kittens were born right then. So by the time they were weaned, it was a couple of months on, and I was ready to get another cat. That cat I named Ewok because it looked like pretty much Wicket. And that cat lived to be 21. So this isn't another dead cat story. The thing is, that cat was nice to me. Everyone else called it the cat from Pet Sematary. And there may have been a friend or two over the years that had to go to the hospital for wounds inflicted by that cat. Yeah, she had a unique attitude. And of course, those are the ones that lived for the longest time. So that was my last cat for a while. I grew up, I got my first guide dog, Brandy, who was a golden retriever, great dog. And then I had my second guide dog, Prince, who was an English Labrador. He was black. So I had dogs for a while. I did get a cat in college. It was a rescue cat. I named it Koshka. Some of you would get that joke. It was much like the second cat I had, which by the way was called Tiger. It was tiger striped. Yeah, I wasn't terribly inventive when I was young. And while she was a great cat, actually how I picked her out, I didn't. I let Brandy do it. I went to the animal shelter, and they have those little rooms you can go in to kind of, wait and do things, And so what we did is we put the dog in there, and we brought different kitties in, and the one that didn't just freak out too badly about the dog, and the one that the dog liked was the one we took. And that kind of gets me to one reason I've had cats. Since I had guide dogs for so many years, they don't do great with other dogs, because the guide dog is a working dog, and they also tend to be very proprietary over their humans. So other dogs it's not a good situation. But cats, they don't really see as a threat to their position, and actually they like to play with them. Brandy and Koshka would play, which was hilarious because people used to joke that Brandy was a horse because he was a giant golden retriever, about 110 pounds, and that was lean with very little body fat. When he retired, my parents indulged him, and he ballooned up to about 130, 140 pounds. So that tells you he was a real tall, lanky-legged dog. And so he was playing with this little, 7, 8, 9 pound cat. And Koshka was tiger striped again. And they would actually, he had a doggy bed in my room, and she would sleep next to him in his doggy bed most nights. And she would go outside, and he would let me know when it was time to let her in by kind of going to the door, and we'd get her in, and then he would either carry her or she'd follow him to the bed, and yeah. Unfortunately, after a couple of years, she went missing. I didn't know where she was at. And a few days later, I hear meowing. And I'm out in the backyard. At that time, I had the habit to kind of decompress because I was in college, of kind of going out in my back little yard area of my townhouse to listen to music for 1 hour a day, just to, indulge myself and have some me time to think about the day. I heard meowing, and I knew it was Koshka. I knew her meow, and I thought, okay, she's back. Well, not to get too grisly, she had been hit by a car in her hindquarters, so her back was totally shot, like her back, hips, and stuff, and it was nighttime. And, she basically drug her stuff back home to say goodbye. And that's how she was such a loyal, good cat. Most strays I found are. But I had to call a friend, and he came over, and we put her to rest. Because for one thing, it was, like I said, after hours. The 24-hour vet wanted several $100s to put him to sleep, and I didn't have the money. And anyway, what was the point? So we put her to rest at home, and then my friend and I proceeded to get very drunk. I think you can understand why. It was pretty rough. And that was my last cat for a number of years. Well, fast forward, I get married, so on and so forth. And yeah, we move after a few years, and we start going to this animal shelter. Ironically, the same one that we got Koshka at, or I got Koshka at years earlier, like over 10 years earlier. And they had many cats, as shelters are wont to do. And what had happened, we moved in 2014. In 2013, just about a year before we moved, it was a Friday night. My wife was coming home from work. At that time, she was waiting at a friend's restaurant for some extra money. You know how it goes. And there were 3 kittens in our yard, and I heard her talking out in the front yard. This is 9 o'clock at night. It was summer, but still. And there was a guy out there, and she had seen the kittens, and he had seen them, and he said, yeah, they've been around for a bit. And so there were, 3 kittens. There was 2 black and white ones and this gray one. They were just on our front porch. Someone had dumped them, which isn't an uncommon occurrence, but it's sad but true. They were hungry. They were really clean, and they were very domesticated. Like, you could pet them. They were 7 weeks maybe. They're very friendly. That was a Friday, so we kind of made them a little place we had a pretty big front porch at the time at our old house. So we made a place for them, gave them some food, water. That was that. Saturday rolled by. They were still there. And then Sunday, I went out Sunday morning. They were all there. And we kind of had named them informally. One of the gray ones, the gray one we called Gray, and he was kind of just the middle one. There was one of the black and white ones we called the Shy Kitten, because she was just, shy. I mean, she was very nice. She liked people, but she just didn't want to play much with the other one. She was just kind of more lethargic, kind of a lazy cat. Then there was another one that was more rambunctious. Again, it liked people, but it was a little spitfire, I guess you could say. It did that. And then again, there was the gray one in the middle that had a little bit of both traits. He was the most food conscious of the 3, I'd say. And to be honest, I liked the Shy Kitten, the lazy one, and my wife liked the my wife liked the Shy Kitten one. Sorry, I mixed that up, guys. No editing here. And I kind of liked the rambunctious one. And the little gray one was kind of in the middle, so we were thinking keeping those and then trying to find a home for him. Well, Sunday morning I go out. They're all there. Feed them. And then a couple hours later I go out to check on them, because it's hot. It's August, and bringing water. And they're all gone. They're just gone, which is kind of odd. They've been hanging around for 2 days at this point. Can't find them. And we had a little area. It was an open garage. It was 3 sides were closed in, and I was keeping boxes because I was selling guns at that time. It was midway through my gun dealing. And so there's a lot of boxes and stuff out there, and I had kind of a tarpaulin closing in the front of the garage area, and then the keeping stuff, and it kept most of the weather out without too much trouble. And so I went to check out there, and I kitty, brought some food, didn't hear anything, and then I hear a rustling in the back, very far back at the boxes. Well, one of those kitties came out, and I will tell his story, because I really want to just kind of talk about the ones we've still got today on their own videos, hopefully showing them if I can get them to sit still. But we had him, and then we picked up another one at the shelter, and it's kind of gone on from there. All of our cats are rescue cats in one way or another. None of them are pet stores or anything like that. And they were all cats that needed a home, and a couple of them are pretty unique and special, and cats that no one else wanted that we've given homes to. And here's the thing about cats. People think they're aloof and unemotional and don't show love. I mean, trust me, there's no one who's closer to a dog than someone who uses one as a service animal. And I love dogs too. But I know the level of love that a dog can show. And I know that a level of love that a cat can show. And a cat is just as capable of affection as a dog. You just how you raise them, how you treat them. Yeah, if you have a barn cat that only sees people every few days, it's going to act like a cat. Because cats are pretty independent. But if you have a cat that's been abused or neglected or is just raised with attention, it needs that and it will reciprocate. Some of our cat stories I'll share, you'll see that. They're very rewarding. So yeah, that's why cats. With my wife and I working so much, they're we can leave if we need to, and they'll take care of themselves. Put food out and clean the litter box. It's no big deal, and they're pretty self-sustaining. They don't eat near as much as a dog. We do buy nice food for them, typically Iams. We've tried other stuff, a little higher, a little lower quality, but Iams seems to be a good balancing point. It was also what I fed my guide dogs, which was recommended. There's other things like Science Diet you can do too. The thing about good food is they don't eat as much because it has higher nutrition, and they don't crap as much, which is really good, no matter what. So yeah, that's why cats. Well, if you have any questions or comments, do post them below. And do check back, because I will be posting, again, little individual 5-10 minute videos on kind of biography profiles of our cats. Again, you guys asked for it, so why not? I'm mostly recording these videos on my day off, which is Saturday, so as I have time, I will do these videos for you folks. Well, this is Misha. I really do appreciate you stopping in, and I will see about trying to do like a slideshow with these blank screen videos. Maybe there's a way I can figure out how to do that. Well, please like and subscribe if you can, and if you aren't aware, please check out our main page at Mishaco. That's our professional page. And if you've done that, we appreciate it. And I will catch you next time.